So let's turn to Lesson 9. How was the Philadelphia Convention organized? Can you characterize in some way the people who actually attended that convention?
The 55 men who attended the convention at various points from mid-May to mid-September 1787 can best be described as members of the governing class within their states. That is, many of them had held government roles in their colonies or in their states after independence. About 3/4 of them had served in Congress under the Articles of Confederation. These were people who were familiar with governing and leading within their states.
What were some of the most important rules adopted that actually facilitated the work of the convention?
Several important rules were decided in the first days of the convention. For example, there needed to be at least 7 states represented or present in order to do business. So it would be a majority of the 13 states. It's important to note only 12 states ever came to the convention. Rhode Island never sent representatives, but there had to be 7 present to do business.
A quorum.
A quorum, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Another important rule was the rule of who could speak when. Everybody had to address their remarks to the chair, the presiding officer, who was George Washington. That is, they weren't addressing their remarks directly to one another. And I think that was about respect and decorum, so it wouldn't devolve into shouting at one another. And in fact, one of the rules was that while somebody was speaking to the chair, nobody else could be reading other documents. They couldn't be talking to one another. In other words, it was about creating civil discourse. A third rule, also about civil discourse, was that nobody could speak a second time on any topic, on any question, until everybody who wanted to speak the first time had gotten their chance, so that no one person could dominate debate on any particular question. And then I think the last truly critical rule was actually 2 more critical rules. One was that no vote they took would be binding or final until they voted on the entire package, whatever it would be at the end. That way, there was room to change their mind. There was room, as the debates went on over the course of months, they could realize that something we decided back in June is something we don't really think anymore. So we can change our minds. We're not bound by something we did along the way in the process. And then the last really important rule was the rule of secrecy, by which they all agreed not to talk outside themselves about what was going on in that room. That way, there wouldn't be pressure as people got leaked information, pressure to change their views, not to express their views candidly among themselves. The fact that they knew they were talking only to one another about what was going on meant that they could talk as honestly and candidly as possible without concern of things from outside, people from outside, somehow coming to challenge or question what was going on inside.
I just have to ask, the rules of decorum, not reading, addressing General Washington, were those enforced by Washington? Do you know?
That's a good question. We don't know. One of the things we don't know about the Constitutional Convention or the Philadelphia Convention may be exactly the decorum inside. What we primarily have are Madison's notes, and Madison was keeping detailed notes of exactly who was saying what, but he wasn't saying, delegate so-and-so address the chair. My sense from reading Madison's notes is that they were, in fact, addressing the chair, and they would speak about somebody else's remarks, but they wouldn't speak about somebody else or directly to somebody else.
They truly maintained civil discourse.
As far as I can tell, they truly maintained civil discourse even when they disagreed passionately with one another, which they did.